Let's take a look at a couple of motor control circuits that have multiple start and multiple stop options in them and see if we can see some differences and some similarities, okay? So if I'm looking at the first two right here, they have a couple of different starts, a couple of different stops, starts and stops. A lot of the items here look very similar, okay? The big difference between these, obviously, it should stick out to you, is that this one right here is turning on two separate motors, okay? Whereas this one is only turning on one. It says C for contactor there, but this could easily be replaced for, a motor starter. So this is turning on a single motor starter, and this is turning on two. Now, this one's got other lights and stuff associated with it, but I would say that the big difference is this is two motor starters, this is one. Now, you look at some other things and you say, well, this is different. It's got all the overloads here and it's got the overloads here. One's on the left, one's on the right. Well, because the purpose of the overload would be to break the circuit to bring down the memory, break the circuit and bring down the memory. It doesn't matter really at which side this is shown. It would work the same because if the overload opens, the circuit's going to die. All right. So a lot of times you won't necessarily see them on the left. You would want to see them on the right over here. And if they were here, you just have to be sure that this run light also runs to the overloads to turn that off. Okay. So that's not that big of a deal. Now, when I look at this, it's possible that all of this right here, all these buttons and in the control devices, that could be in a single enclosure, and then the motors would be mounted exterior to this somewhere. But this could all be mounted inside of a single enclosure, and this one adds a master stop that you would see on that enclosure. That if you hit that, that would break both motor circuits and both memories. Okay, whereas this one doesn't have a master stop. It just has the two stops here, because this one looks like it is a start-stop setup where there's two different enclosures. One of the enclosures has a start and a stop, and then mounted somewhere else is another enclosure that has a second start and stop. Okay, and you want to see, well, how can you tell the difference between looking at these two? Well, the main thing is that on this one there's only one master stop that's controlling all these circuits. So I suppose it could be, you could add that to here, or you could add something like that to here, but that means that master stop would have to run through each separate start stop location here, which isn't really feasible. That doesn't make sense. Plus the master stop is needed here because you're stopping more than one load, and here your stops are only stopping one load, two loads versus one. So that's what I'm seeing there. But these are probably separate start stop locations. And so let's take a look at that down here. What this box right here, and then we got another box right here, is showing is those are separate enclosures, and each enclosure is going to have a start and a stop button in it. Okay, so let's see if we can draw the ladder logic and see if it does make sense here. Okay, and so my contactor is over here somewhere, and it says it's rated for 24 VAC, and so this is showing voltage 24 VAC here. So I'm guessing, because this goes to the stop button, that this is 24 plus right here. Okay, so I start drawing the ladder logic for this. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to make that my first rail here. Okay, so I'm going to have voltage coming off of here. So it goes to a stop button according to this. So if I go here and I go to normally closed stop, that's this wire here. It then runs to another stop button here. So there's two stops. The stop then runs to a normally open. So that's going to run to a normally open, and it's going to hit start. Okay. Notice between these boxes, these enclosures, there's three wires running between them. Okay, so we have to figure that out in a minute. So this start go on the other side of the normally open side of that, which is here. this goes to the side of another start button, but look at the left goes to the left and the right goes to the right. So these two are in parallel because the left goes to the left, the right goes to the right. So according to that, the left goes to the left and the right goes to the right. So we've got another start here that's in parallel, like this. So now I've got this wire and I've got this wire. And that would be my 3 wires running between that box, okay? So now what do I got going here? I've got the other side of this start is going somewhere, this one right here, but also the left side is now also going somewhere. So this is going somewhere. So I've got these 2 wires that I need to account for. This is the first wire here, which is this one right here. Let's call this wire 2, I'm sorry. And then I've got this other wire here on the left, that's wire 1, and it's marked 1 and 2 here, okay? Now these go to my contactor. So what do you expect to find here inside this contactor where these run to? Well, I would expect wire 2 right here to run to the coil of the motor starter, okay? And then I would expect 1 right here to run to the holding contacts of the motor starter, okay? And then this would then run back to that wire 2. So apparently this 1 would run through a set of contacts to 2, okay? And then this 2 runs to the motor starter, and then back to my negative voltage. So it went from plus to minus, like something like that. So based on what we know about 2 enclosures, a standard stop-start holding circuit, except that we've added another start button and another stop here, which seems to indicate that we could stop this from either 2 locations, or we could start it from either 2. We can use what we've learned in the class to anticipate what we're going to find in here, and we're going to find a contactor, as shown, the coil and the auxiliary contacts that we added there. And then we could use a little common sense here, and if this wasn't working, we could troubleshoot it and or make some changes, reinstall something. If this burned out, for example, we would be able to generate the ladder logic and be sure that everything was working and acting like it should be.